Yes, people, what is good? Welcome back to my channel. Apologies for the impromptu stream. Didn't get to do my post-match reaction. Well, I did get to do my post-match reaction yesterday, but for whatever reason, the mic decided to cut out the sound. So here I am again. Honestly, I'm just in that typical cycle of a Spurs fan. And if you're a Spurs fan, you know what I mean. You're in that point now where you just don't know where we go from here, right? I mean, in theory, if we wanted to be in black and white about it, like there's a couple of things that we'd want. But just in general, like we find ourselves in this situation over and over and over and over again. I said to my mate, I said, this is the 5th time in 5 years where it's got to this point. And it's always for I say it's always for various different reasons. No, it's not. It's typically for the same reason. We know the cycle. Manager comes in, there's an initial boom. The club look like they're trending upwards. Certain players coming that we like, certain players coming that we don't like. The manager gets shortchanged with players in subsequent windows, but has enough players to be doing better than he should be doing. The manager subsequently underperforms. And once the manager underperforms, certain players drop form, and then the issues are compounded by the fact that the prior windows to strengthen the team weren't good enough. And then it leaves us in a situation where the manager is essentially scrambling for his job. Spurs fans are sad. I'm sad. All the energy is pointed at Daniel Levy. And then rinse, repeat, and rinse, repeat, and rinse, repeat. Been in this situation with Pochettino when the results were really, really poor before he got sacked. Been in this position with Jose. I wanted him sacked because the results were not good. Been in this position with Antonio Conte as well, literally just back in 2023, last year. We were in this position last year in March 2023. And then I can even go back to Nuno Espirito Santo, right? Nuno Espirito Santo, I think that was late October 2021. So we've been in this situation before. I've been in this situation before, certainly. And it's the same shit over and over again. The only difference is the type of football the manager plays. It's the same issues. Squad's not really been fully equipped. Spurs are spending money, but we still don't really look conclusively better as a side. The manager is significantly underperforming, right, in terms of results. And the ownership give no Fs. They don't care. It doesn't care because he's just going to sack him, get a new one in, and do the same thing over and over again. And that's just where I'm at with this Spurs thing. That's why I tweeted what I tweeted late last night, because the big six, these men are desperate. They want me to say Ange out. They're desperate for me to say Ange out. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I still believe. I know it's blind. It's disgusting. I know there's justification for him getting sacked. If he was to be sacked today, I don't think we could complain if we're basing it on his managerial performance, because the results in 2024 have not been good enough for a team that are supposedly trying to break into the top 4, trying to win trophies. It's bad. The results are bad. Our away record is awful. The amount of goals we concede, it's bad. The losses at home this season, the points dropped from winning positions, it's all bad. Our record against the better teams in London, bad. Battered by Fulham last season, lost to Chelsea at home last season, lost to Chelsea away last season, lost to Arsenal at home last season, lost to Arsenal at home this season, lost to Crystal Palace away last season, lost to West Ham at home last season, drew to West Ham at home last season. So don't get me wrong, the results, if he was to be sacked now, yeah, you'd have to say, okay, on results, maybe it's justified. But for me, I think there's more to it. I think there's more to it. I think he as a manager has to, and we'll get on to Ange because I want to split this, right? Because whenever this shit happens, and I always stress this, I always say this on my platform, on anyone's platform I go on the Big Six, I always say this. To blame just one person, one component, when everything goes pear-shaped like this, it's the wrong way of looking at it. And that doesn't even exclude Daniel Levy, right? My disdain for this ownership, I can't stand them. I want them gone. But that point also extends to them, because I'd be lying to you if I said Daniel Levy is the reason why Tottenham can't beat Ipswich at home. I'd be lying to you. I would be lying to you. It's more to it. It's multifaceted. Sorry, I just knocked my mic. It's multifaceted, right? It's a multifaceted problem, and it's always the case. Whenever this stuff goes south, it starts from the top in terms of the attitude when it comes to signing talented players that can really push this club forward, the attitude when it comes to cutting the cord on players that aren't capable, the attitude when it comes to sort of striving for better, not just being satisfied with Spurs coasting, striving for more. Spurs are making money off the pitch. Great. But how about trying to strive for more on the pitch? So it starts at the top and then it seeps down into the management. What can you as a manager do to lift this team? Tactically, from a motivational perspective, from a training perspective, what can you do in your capacity to improve this team? And what we found over the last couple of years, and this now unfortunately includes Ange Postecoglou, is these managers, they're falling short in their individual remit as a coach. Whether it's tactical stubbornness, whether it's misuse of the squad, whether it's just random decisions, whether it's not standing up for themselves in front of the likes of Daniel Levy and co, when certain players and certain situations are being pushed upon them that hinder their ability to do their job to the best of their ability. For whatever reason, that's a problem. And then we get to the players, the bad players, the decent players, the good players, and the very few quality players that we have. They are not delivering. There's been one too many players that have been far too inconsistent this season. And there are just a lot of players. I say a lot. There's a couple of players who they just need to be moved on altogether. So when you snowball all of these things into one, it's manifested into Tottenham Hotspur in the 24-25 season. And you could plug and play it for the Tottenham Hotspur in the in the 23 22-23 season, 23-24 season, 21-22 season, 2021 season, 2019-2020 season, 2018-2019 season. Rinse and repeat, man. Rinse and repeat. Anyway, make sure you lot smash the like button as well. Thanks for joining. I'm just going to go through some comments before I get into specifics, because I've got my notes. One second. So big up Sustainable Shooter. He says, big up Tobs. We are so poor, man. Like I said for a while, this guy needs to go now, I think. I wanted him to do well, but some of his decisions are crazy. It could get very peak on Sunday v Chelsea. I can't even argue. You can't argue against it. There's no argument, in my opinion. Okay, that's a lie. I don't think any Spurs fan can get onto their fellow Spurs fan for wanting Ange Postecoglou gone, because unfortunately he has performed so poorly and so inconsistently in his role as a manager that it's got to a point where his job should be under consideration. It should be. I don't think he should be sacked, but I would be lying to you if I said that if this was any other manager at any other club, I wouldn't expect that manager's job be under consideration. It should be. Big up Virendra. He says, here for our common let's all laugh at Spurs and de-stress Toes video. Hopefully no bomb threats in this one. Nah, no bomb threats. Let's see. Alan Baffer-Smith, we're going further down the league with this clueless manager. See, I don't think he's clueless. I actually don't think he's clueless. I just think he's just so stubborn. I don't know what it is. Like, we'll get on to Ange later. I'm just going to read some more comments. Then we'll start with Daniel Levy, right? We'll start with Daniel Levy. Joshua says, I'm praying we just beat United in the cup. That's not even guaranteed as well. Big up Rob. He says, Spurs are a team full of strugglers. The club is run by strugglers. The fans are strugglers. Hard to disagree. Hard to disagree, man. And I just want to say this. Whether you think Ange is the worst manager in the world, whether you think he's tactically naive, whatever you think of Ange Postecoglou, as a fan, as someone who goes to games, I think the way in which some of those fans conducted yesterday was a disgrace. Just putting that out there. You can voice your discontent at the decisions that a manager's taking. You can voice your discontent at the results. Absolutely. Boo the team if you want. Cool. I think it's a collective thing. Like, if I boo, I'm booing the team as a collective. I'm not singling out individuals. But I just don't really know what right we have as a fan, as a consumer, to be calling a man a fat "see you next Tuesday" to his face. It's mad. Sorry, I can't get with that. I can't get with that. And I'm someone who's not really asked about like swearing and stuff like that and being critical on players and managers, but there's a certain code of conduct. I would never go up to a player's face and start screaming abuse at that player. The same way I would never single out a player and boo him when he's coming off the pitch. It's a collective thing. And what I saw yesterday, that's not cool in my eyes. But obviously some people may disagree. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm just giving my opinion. And I also think on the flip side, there are some fans, right, that are partaking and participating in certain videos. And again, I'm just giving my opinion. Don't know if it's gospel, but I'm just giving my opinion. It makes me sick seeing some of these videos. It makes me sick to my stomach seeing some of these videos. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm not one of these Yerdal fans who are like, oh, bring back the glory days. Oh, things were much better at White Hart Lane, rare tear tear, yada, yada, yada. Right? I don't think that the stadium has been a net negative for Tottenham. But I think the way in which some of our fans conduct themselves inside this stadium, some of our so-called fans, and don't forget, we're commercialized. Absolutely, we're commercialized. So you get some fans attending games who aren't really true Spurs fans. They like the team, but they're not real supporters. They're just going to the game because it's a better experience. It's a fun experience. Fun experience in quotation marks. Right? It's a commercial product. But some of the videos I'm seeing, man are kumbayaing, man are doing the conga and stuff in the concourse. Even when we win matches, everyone's seen me on the Big Six, how I can celebrate. You'll never catch me doing some of this nonsense that I've seen. Man are holding each other's waist, doing the conga. I'm seeing guys playing guitars inside the stadium, busking, making up these stupid songs. Oh, we beat Man City without Romero. What? How is that worthy of a song? How is this what we're celebrating? Like the lack of like, it's just tone deaf. The lack of awareness. Sorry. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Fans are doing basically musical chairs inside the stadium. We're here to watch a football game. We're here to watch a football game. And I'm seeing the stuff I'm seeing. It's a disgrace. It's actually a disgrace. Sometimes I watch these videos and I'm actually embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I share a fan base with some of these fans. I'm embarrassed because if that's how you can act off the team doing what? We've not won anything. Our form has been so inconsistent throughout 2024. What are you dancing and busking about? Embarrassing. Just watching those videos, it's actually sickening. It's sickening, bro. So cringe. I can't even begin to describe the depths of cringiness that video exudes. Oh, it makes me sick every single time I watch it. And it's why people laugh at Tottenham. Stuff like that is why people laugh at Tottenham. Because it devalues the messages that some of the fans who actually give a shit about where this club want to go and want to supposedly win, it devalues the message that they're trying to put out. It's counterproductive. And it leads me to my point on Daniel Levy. We want to try and be organized. We want to try and huddle together as a community. How can you huddle together as a community and voice your discontent at something that continuously hampers the club when you've got fans like that who are happy clapping, literally going into stadiums, singing along to stupid shit songs that mean absolutely nothing, dancing like they've just won the Champions League? It's embarrassing, bro. It's utterly embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. And I just wanted to say that, like, that will never sit right with me. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. And on the point of organizing, right? Like, we were discussing this on the Big Six, and big up to Sava, because Sava made a good point on the Big Six yesterday in the super chat. He said that, like, with the protesting, right, it's got to a point where Spurs are almost too big commercially to garner the level of involvement to really put our foot on this guy's neck. And I partially agree, because we've tried it before. I was involved, me personally, I was involved in 2 protests back in 2021, 2020, I think. Like, tried to boycott games. I remember, I think the Conte season, after we lost to Milan, I didn't go to a single Spurs game. Didn't go to a single Spurs game. Didn't sell my ticket, just left it there. Didn't go to a single game. Like, these kinds of actions, you need it spread out through the collective, but it won't be. Because unfortunately, you've got some fans who either don't agree with the assessment of Daniel Levy, and you've got fans who aren't really fans of Spurs, who are just coming there on a weekend or a couple of weeks to watch a game of football. Right? But that being said, we need to stop thinking that we just give up. Like, I will always voice my discontent on our attitude to signing players, to really pushing this club forward. I will always voice my discontent. And I think as Spurs fans, we should always voice discontent. We shouldn't settle. In the summer, we were told to settle. We were told to shut up. Oh, like, we've got depth. I was told Timo Werner's depth, Bergvall's depth, Archie Gray depth. I was told all of these things. No, wasn't having it then. I'm not having it now. The same with last summer when we sold Harry Kane and I was told, oh, we signed Brennan Johnson. Wasn't having it then, not having it now. Wasn't having the fact that we shortchanged ourselves for centre-backs last summer and the summer before. Stop having it. Stop having it. Stop accepting what they give us. They're literally serving us gruel and saying, I mean, it's expensive gruel, but it's not gruel, maybe. They're serving us. Let me give an equivalent, right? So they are serving us Sainsbury's finest and making it out like it's M&S's finest. That's what's happening. Sainsbury's finest isn't cheap, right? But it's not the creme de la creme. It's a joke thing. It's a joke thing. And let me I'm 19 minutes and I'll throw up some more comments, but let me even go in on Daniel Levy, right? So when you speak on Daniel Levy, a lot of people say, oh, he's done great things for your club. Spurs are biggest spenders, some of the biggest spenders over the last couple of years. Absolutely, yes and yes. I would be lying. I've said this a million times. I would be lying if I said Daniel Levy hasn't done good things for Tottenham. He absolutely has. He absolutely has. Unequivocally, he has done good things for Tottenham, right? Off the field, commercially. Back in the old days when he used to sort of navigate certain deals, bringing the likes of Van der Vaart to the club, bringing the likes of Modric into the club, Aaron Lennon, Gareth Bale. Daniel Levy has had some good moments for Spurs. And Spurs being in a position where they're able to spend the amount of money we spend without having an oligarch that's pumping money into the club, right? Without having Middle East state ownership, without having the traditional sort of big name prowess of a Man United or Arsenal or the commercial reach that these clubs have. For Spurs to spend this money, it's a testament to some of the good work that Daniel Levy's done, right? But unfortunately, some of these points I'm making, right, are commercial successes. They're commercial successes. Someone's saying I'm muted. Am I muted? I don't think I am muted. You muted. I didn't mute. Tell me if I'm muted. Tell me if I'm muted, people, please. There's bare comments as well. So yes, I don't know why my man said you muted. But if I look at Daniel Levy, so I've mentioned the good, the stadium, the commercial success, some of the deals in the past. But if I look at when the club have been on the cusp of trying to do something serious, has Daniel Levy been a positive to the club or a hindrance? He's been a hindrance. This stretches all the way back to Harry Redknapp. Harry Redknapp, 2012, third in the table. Spurs are flying. Gareth Bale's playing well. Luka Modric playing well. Adebayo's banging in goals. Rafa van der Vaart is banging in goals. We needed to reinforce that team. That team was small. Harry Redknapp needed a bigger squad because he said, you know what? We can really solidify ourselves here. What did he get? He got a washed Louis Saha for free, and he got a washed Ryan Nelson for free. They were let go at Everton and Blackburn, I believe. And we signed both of them on a free transfer to play for Tottenham, who are third in the league, trying to bridge the gap on Manchester City and Man United. If I fast forward with Pochettino came into the league, right? He got fifth, then he got third, then he got second, then he got third. Point is, Pochettino came in and he overachieved. He took the club 3 steps ahead of where they probably should have been, right? And what was his reward? His reward was, and if I think back to it now, there was only truly one summer transfer window where I was actually satisfied with the business that we did. And that was the window of summer 2015, where we brought in Alderweireld, we brought in Son Heung-min, we had Kieran Trippier as backup. And I wouldn't even say that was an amazing window, but that was probably one of the better windows we had in terms of signing players, pieces to go straight into the first 11 and padding out the team with depth. Yeah? Poch took a team from 5th to 3rd. That really should have been 2nd, but we crumbled towards the end. Took a team to 3rd, and what was his reward? His reward was an unproven striker in the Eredivisie called Vincent Janssen, who was absolutely atrocious. Victor Wanyama for 13 million, who was a fantastic signing. Great, went straight into the first 11, but we needed more than a starter. If I look at what we needed in that window, we needed someone to compete with Eriksen, to really sort of take the burden off Eriksen. We needed another wide option, right? We needed a proper striker to compete with Harry Kane. We needed a bunch of things. Right? Sorry, that's my work ringing me. I'm gonna ring I'm gonna ring my gaffer back shortly because I need to finish this. We needed if I look at the centre back options, okay, we needed another what else? We needed more midfield, more quality in the midfield. We needed just more quality, more star quality to bridge the gap Because when you looked at the teams that we were trying to compete with, Arsenal had more quality and depth at that point in time before their team really degraded. Man City had more strength and depth. Chelsea had more strength and depth. And what did he get? He got Musa Sissoko on a deadline day deal. Musa Sissoko, mind you, from a relegated Newcastle, off the back of one of his worst seasons in a Newcastle shirt. That's what he got. And what we were told was, and I hated that window. I could have punched a hole through my wall. I hated that window. I said, this is not good enough for Daniel Levy. But what we were told is, be patient. The club are building a new stadium. They haven't got the funds to commit. The following season, right? He finished second, right? What did we do? We signed Davinson Sanchez for 42 million and out of the blue. I wasn't mad at that signing. I said, we needed another centre-back. If this guy's good, come, let's see what he can do. We sold Kyle Walker, signed Serge Aurier. I said, okay, fine. I can accept that. Serge Aurier, I liked what I saw at PSG. I can accept that. And Kyle Walker wanted to leave. But again, Janssen was crap. We needed a striker. We needed a proper winger. We needed more. Didn't get it. We got Llorente on the deadline day. That's what we got. We got Llorente on deadline day. Fernando Llorente. And then we didn't sign a winger until January. And I'm just trying to paint a pattern of the way in which this ownership, this guy, he just keeps shortchanging managers. He leaves managers ill-equipped for the seasons that they need to tackle ahead. And then by the time the rot sets in, that's when you want to go and you want to add a little bit more so-called supposed quality. The following season, Poch didn't get a player for 18 months. 18 months. So from January 2018 through to July 2019, Pochettino didn't sign a single player. Why? Because we were told the club are trying to go into a new stadium. Mind you, missed out on Jack Grealish, missed out on so many players. So many players. But we were told, no. Be patient. It's the new stadium. The new stadium. Once we get in the new stadium, we're going to compete. We're going to compete. Right? Mind you, that was a season where Poch still got top four and made a Champions League final. We were second or third in the table heading into January. I don't give a damn what you're building. You can clearly see that this manager needs help in a season where Dembele was falling off and we had to sell Dembele in January, and you still don't bring anyone in. But people are talking about the catch up on spend over the last 4 or 5 years. Absolutely. We've had to catch up on spend over the last 4 or 5 years because this owner has let the squad completely disintegrate. He had let the squad completely disintegrate because we had flogged certain players into the ground. We hadn't released certain players who weren't good enough, and we didn't bring in the quality of player that could improve us. We rinsed Alderweireld. We rinsed Jan Vertonghen. We've rinsed Son. We rinsed Harry Kane. We've rinsed so many players. So many players. So many players. And the caliber of players that we were bringing in, even when we moved into the stadium, it was just meh. It wasn't good enough. I'm seeing Gedson Fernandez. They tried with the likes of Ndombele. They tried with Ndombele in the summer, but again, we needed more. We needed a striker. We needed wingers. Lord knows how long we were waiting for a right winger. We needed centre-backs. We needed full-backs. So when men are saying, oh, Spurs are spending money, yeah, we're spending money, but it's a catch-up of all the disgusting work that the club have done and the disgusting decisions that have been made under this guy's tenure as our owner, right? Waiting too long to cut the likes of Sanchez loose, to cut the likes of Tanganga, Lo Celso, Moura, Højbjerg, giving guys contracts that weren't deserved, giving guys like Eric Dyer new contracts. And then you're struggling and you're wondering why you're struggling to sell them. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. A smart club tops up their squad season in, season out, season in, season out. Of course, there are going to be moments where you have to do a big boom of signings to essentially refresh the squad because players are aging for whatever reason. But if Spurs were doing their business properly, right, he wouldn't have had to get to a point where he's spending 400 million in the space of 18 months. 400 million, which is affordable for Tottenham because of the amount of money that we're generating. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. There's so many duds I can name. Joe Rodon, Carlos Vinicius, Timo Werner. My goodness. This is strengthening. This is strengthening. Christ almighty, man. So he shortchanges managers. The timing of players that are delivered to managers is so bad. Last season, crippled with injuries, and we should have signed a centre back in the summer. It comes in January. The same way we should have signed a right winger, a left-sided centre back, a goalkeeper, another midfielder. We should have signed all of these things in the summer, and we'll probably get maybe one if we're lucky in January. It's always catch up. It's always catch up. It's always reactive, never proactive. Never proactive. Nkudu is another one. I'm just going through the comments. Throw some more names. Jeez Louise. Throw some more names in. We've had so many mere players. So many mere players thinking like, okay, what's this player going to actually do for Tottenham? What are they going to do for Tottenham? Christ. So when we talk about Levy out, this is why. Because he's taken the club up to a point where he is no longer, and it's been the case for years, 4 years. I don't care how much money we spend on transfer fees. This guy is not built to take this club into a position where we can truly be competitive for a sustained amount of time. And no, competitive doesn't just mean winning a trophy, although we would love one of those. My goodness, we'd love one of those. It means going into a season where your team are actually in with a chance of winning something that's actually material. And you don't get that feeling with Daniel Levy. You don't get that feeling, right? The guy enforces a culture that makes you pick the second or third rate option instead of the first option. Spurs have a criteria for what they want in a player, right? We didn't used to have one before. Now we have one, right? Before it was a bit haphazard. We're signing players. Either one player is 22 years old, but the other is 31. This is that and the third. Spurs have a clear plan now. They want to sign young players, preferably within the homegrown quota, resale value, all of that jazz. Highly adaptable, got a scope for improvement, right? But when you look at the pool of players that fit this criteria, why are we always picking the second or third option and not the best option? Or sorry, why are we consistently failing to pick the best option out of these criteria? I look at, and I'm sorry, I'm going to bring it up again, Brennan Johnson. I know he's banged the goals for Tottenham. I'm not even here to shit on him like that, but I'm just using it as an example, right? And before we talk, there's nothing wrong with targeting young players. Nothing wrong with that. Real Madrid have been doing that for years. Right? But there's this thing Spurs do where they can never find a balance between targeting good young players with scope for improvement versus young players who can come straight into the team and deliver right now. And Brennan Johnson, we signed this guy for nearly £50 million in a summer where we saw Eze available, we saw Neto available, we saw so many other players available, and we signed this guy. Why? Because he probably costs maybe 70, 80 grand a week in wages. Yeah, why pay 65 million for the guy who's going to earn 180k a week when we can pay 48 million and pay him 70k a week? It's carbon copy. That's just how we are. That's how we roll. And people may not think it. Oh, they'll say, yeah, Johan Lang, and yeah, these guys, they have their part to play in their identification and co-signing of players that the club go for. But ultimately, they're at the whims of Daniel Levy. They can say, we want this player, that player. Ultimately, it's down to Daniel Levy to say, yep, I'm happy with you spending and committing money on this asset. Kudos as well. It's laughable. It's truly laughable. And don't get me wrong, we signed some good players. Van der Ven is a good player. I know a lot of people are down on James Maddison, but James Maddison is a very good player. He's not as consistent as I wanted or liked, and he's not maybe the caliber of player that I thought we were getting, but he's a very good player. Right? Sar's a good player. We've got some good players. Vicario is a good player. Destiny, I know he's in bad form, but he's a good player. He's a good player. So there are some good players in this team. Even Solanke, who I'm not happy with over the last 2-3 games, I think he's a good player. But I also have my opinions on the striker market being mash up. I think the striker market is a joke now. The amount of money you have to pay for strikers, you can't even guarantee you one and two. But the point I'm making is Spurs have signed some good players, but Spurs don't sign players that really make the likes of Liverpool or Man City or Arsenal or even Man United stand up and say, yo, Spurs are cooking. Oh, shit. We don't do that. That's not our MO. We sign players to keep us coasting in this, oh, maybe they can get fourth, but they might get fifth or sixth. That's what we do. That's what we do. Right? That's what we do. Yeah? Anyway, that's my opinion on Daniel Levy. I think we do need to get organized as a fan base, and I'm open to suggestion. I'm willing to collaborate with whoever. What do we need to do to make our voices known that the way in which these men are running this club, it's not acceptable? Signing one starter and 3 kids and a guy who proved he wasn't good enough is not acceptable, right? Leaving us with 2 fit centre-backs for pretty much 6 months last year, it's not acceptable, right? Signing no player for 18 months, it's not acceptable. Consistently missing out on the very best of targets for the second-rate options, it's not acceptable. I'm tired of it. I am absolutely tired of it. And I want it to stop. I want it to end. I want them gone. So if anyone's got any suggestions on how to make this better, how we can get really organized, shout me. I'm open to suggestions. Right? Oh, flipping hell, my Teams is going crazy. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Sorry. I'll respond to that shortly. Now we talk on Ange. The problem with Ange is he's been so shit that he is making it difficult for people to put full focus on the ownership. That's the biggest indictment I can give on Ange's tenure so far. He started off great, but in 2024, he's been dead. Dead. Absolutely dead. He's been so dead. Right? The form has been inconsistent. So his His decisions with some of the players, the tactics have just been weird, questionable. His substitutions have been garbage. There have been some good results. There have been some points picked up. And this is my thing with Ange. When it's good, it's really good. But the problem is, it's not good for a lot of the time this year. And he's culpable. He's culpable. He's culpable in how the team plays. He's culpable in our defense. The way in which our attitude to defending in this team is an absolute disgrace. And as a manager, to see this team continuously struggle defensively and you do nothing to really address these issues, it's mental to me. It's absolutely mental to me. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. And he complains about the squad and injuries, and well, he's not complaining, but he will mention that we're stretched thin. We're stretched thin, but yet he'll overutilize players like Pedro Porro when we've got Jed Spence on the bench, right? When we had 3 centre backs fit, he wouldn't properly rotate, right? He's put a great emphasis on kids, playing some of these kids that have been forced upon him. Yet when the opportunity presents himself to play these kids in their favored position, he won't play them. He won't play them. Yeah. He won't play them. And that's the problem. That is the problem. It's not the only problem. Another thing I don't like about Ange as well is, for someone who's so combative with journalists, with the fans even, he was having a go at us last year when we were saying that we didn't want Spurs to win against Man City. You have a go at everyone, but the people who are shortchanging you. I've never seen Ange say anything in opposition to Daniel Levy, to the club, to Johan Lang. Never. They're giving you Werner. They're giving you 3 kids to go into the season with. They're giving you no centre-back in your first season outside of your starting 2 that you trust, right? They're giving you all these things and you're not saying anything. You're lapping it up. You're saying you're happy with it. And then when it inevitably goes pear-shaped, right? Sloppy shoulders, you got your head down doing an interview, it's dead. It's dead. So he's not performing in his own individual remit as a manager in terms of what he brings to this team from a tactical perspective, from a motivational perspective, from a results perspective. He's not winning games. He's not winning games. Yeah. Spurs have scored quite a lot of goals this season, but we've conceded goals this season. If I look at our record across the board, I think I saw something crazy about how we've lost like 18 games this year. Spurs have lost 6 Premier League games already this season, sorry. We've only played like 13 games. We've lost like half our games. That's crazy. That's crazy. If I go through the table now, let's go through the table now, right? We've lost 6 games. Newcastle have lost less, and Newcastle don't have a better back forward than us, man for man, and also have injuries. It's mad. Like, we've lost 6 games, and we've got Chelsea next at home. Then we got Southampton. Then we got Liverpool at home. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. No matter what you think of the manager, both positively and negatively, that is insane. And where I'm at with Ange Postecoglou, and I need to go in 8 minutes. Where I'm at with Ange Postecoglou is, I just feel like at this point, you need to help yourself. We've spoken about the issues of Daniel Levy and where Daniel Levy has hampered Ange, and I agree. But ultimately, this squad is good enough to not be going life and death with Fulham at home, to not be getting punched up like we did and being used for shooting practice yesterday. That's a tactical thing. We can talk about injuries, whatnot, but there are definitely ways to limit Bournemouth's effectiveness yesterday, right? This club is more than capable of going to Crystal Palace and not losing, and not even just losing. Crystal Palace hadn't won a single game all season, and they beat us, and they kept a clean sheet. And it's just problematic because it's like, how can you give us a taste of what good looks like with Man United away, with Aston Villa at home, with West Ham at home, with Man City away, with Man United at home last season, with Arsenal away last season? Like, there are good things about Ange Postecoglou. When it's good, the style of play is fantastic. The pressing is good. Spurs score a lot of goals. Spurs create chances. Like, there are good things about his football. But for whatever reason, this guy, he's very inconsistent at making the right changes during games. And he's very inconsistent at utilizing players to the best of their capability. I'm sorry, he is. The amount of players that have dropped levels. And lastly, I want to talk on the players because for whatever reason, they seem to get away scot-free whenever this shit happens. Not just at Spurs, but in maybe not so much at Spurs because a lot of people are vocal about players. But it's like the manager's the one that gets the sack. But I think the players need to be held to account. Romero has been absolutely shocking this season. That's our vice captain. Son, when he's played this season, has been poor. He's been poor. I know he's old. I know that he's someone who shouldn't be playing the amount of minutes that he's played, but in his own individual performance, he's been poor. Bentancur, significantly inconsistent. Bissouma, I want him gone. I want one of those two gone. Bissouma was so bad yesterday. So inconsistent. Maddison has been decent. And I say that kindly. He's had some good games, but he's had some meaty games. He's had some bad games. Fundamentally, it's not good enough for a player of your supposed caliber. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Sorry. You're meant to be the talismanic figure. I'm not having a bar of it. The guy was poor for the second half of last year and this season. I want him playing every game. I want him playing every game because we need that quality on the pitch, but we also need him to perform. It's poor. So yeah, he's had a decent season, but on the whole, it's not enough. Brennan Johnson bangs in the goals, but I'll be real, the guy does nothing else in the game of football. And it sounds mad saying it, but just watch the games. This is meant to be a winger for us, and our manager deploys him as such as well. This is clearly a guy who just stinks out wide. He's better closer to goal, and he can score goals to his credit. And yet he's deployed out wide, and he just offers us next to nothing out wide. If he's not scoring in a game, he's doing nothing, bro. But it's not just him. He's tried, he's done his bit, but he's not good enough. I look at the manager and how he's using the player, and I look at the club for bringing the player to the club. It's not good enough, man. Even Van der Ven, he's been poor. Pedro Porro has been rubbish. Destiny Udogie, rubbish. There's been so many bad performances. Like that game the other day, yesterday, Maddison, why are you not playing better? Kulusevski, to his credit, I know he didn't play well yesterday, but Kulusevski, I'll say this now, he's probably been the most consistent. And even him, he's not even at, it's not like he's playing at some amazing level. He's been good. But we need more. We need more from these players. We need more goals from Kulusevski, more incisive passing from Kulusevski, more consistent performances from Maddison. Solanke, we need more goals. We need better performances. The guy's been awful the last couple of games. Awful. He had an absolute mare in the Europa League game. And then who did we play on the weekend? I don't think he played. He didn't play against Fulham. And then yesterday, he was just bad. I know people say our squad's mediocre. I don't think the squad on the whole is good, but the first 11 and a couple players outside of that, they're good enough to be playing better than they've played. And some of these guys, they're not young players. Solanke is 27. Madison's 27, 28. Basuma's 28. Bentacle's 27, 28. Romero's 26. Son's 32. These are meant to be the elder statesmen of the team. And don't even get me started on the younger G's. Bringing on Bergvall, flinging him on. What's he meant to do? He's not at the level. He's got the talent, yes, but he's not at the level to be playing this caliber of football. He needs a loan. But this is what happens when we have to rely on kids. Anyway, people, smash the like button, man. I need to go. I'm getting chased. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Turn your post notifications on. I'll be back at some point with my brother, either on Monday, probably at this point, to do a Bad Blood stream. I'm just going to cancel the one on my channel today. Bless up, people. Take care. Peace.